So I am going to use expensive makeup products that I have in my collection. Some of them I have not even used, and some of them were purchased because of social media influence. So let's get right into the video. For primer, this is definitely Tati's influence. I have the YSL Touche Éclat Blur Primer, and I honestly have not used this. The bottle is still full. And she has been raving about this primer for quite a while. The only problem is that YSL is not a cruelty-free brand. But this gives the most luxurious feel on the skin. It's a silicone primer and it has gold flecks, so it will reflect throughout your face. There's some chunks of glitter happening. It's not the most magical and most practical primer, if I'm going to be honest, but it does make your face feel so smooth. It has that film feeling to it though. For eyebrows, I've already filled in my brows with the Hourglass Arch Brow Pencil. That's the most expensive brow product that I've owned. So I just did that off camera, and I love how it makes my brows bushy and thick, which is what I am aiming for. So I'm going to just quickly pop some NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer on my lid. I want to do the eyes first because we might have a fallout. The most expensive eyeshadow palette I've owned is the Huda Beauty New Nude eyeshadow palette. This is my only Huda Beauty eyeshadow palette. This retails for over $100 New Zealand. It's very hefty for a neutral looking eyeshadow palette, but somehow I got sucked in and purchased it. I'm going to pick up Bear, which is that shade right there. I did use this eyeshadow palette recently in one of my recent videos. I wanted to create a more smoky glam, so I think I am going to use maybe this shade right here on top of that cranberry shade. We'll see how we go. But for transition, I am going to pick up this shade called Raw straight away with a fluffy brush. Now I don't know the story about the other Huda Beauty eyeshadow palette, but this eyeshadow palette in particular is very pigmented and blendable. It has a little bit of fallout, but you all know that I don't really care for that much for it to dislike a palette. I'm going to then pick up this shade called Love Bite, and I'm tapping that on the outer V and slowly moving that into the crease. And I'm gonna go back to Raw once again just to blend the edges. I'll pick up an even smaller brush and go back to Love Bite. And with my finger, I am going to pick up that shade called Kinky. And just blend that a little bit. For the added glimmer, I'm going to use this shade called Excite, which is that glitter right there. So it picks up really good with a finger. And I'm packing that onto the lid. And on top of that, I am going to use a little bit of Infatuated to give a different shift and vibe. Oh my god, that's amazing. And I'm going to pick up Love Bite once again. That's the prettiest eye look I've ever done so far. And I'm going to pick up Love Bite with a angled brush to fill in a little bit of the gaps that I have on my lids. And I have a little bit of fallout, which luckily enough we did our eyes first. The most expensive eyeliner I have is by Hourglass, and this is their I think it's called 0.05 mechanical eyeliner pen or gel liner. For some reason I could not find my lash curler. For mascara, this is again by Hourglass. This retails for almost $40. And you could definitely purchase a full-size mascara for under 20 even. This mascara is really nice. For foundation today, the most expensive that I own is this NARS, what's this called? Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation. And this is a little bit too dark for me because I purchased this around summertime last year. My tan is nowhere to be found currently, so I'm gonna have to mix in a little bit of the moisturizer. I think it's still a little bit dark. I'm just gonna have to use a concealer to lighten it up. But basically this foundation is really nice. It lasts all day. It gives you the most insane coverage without feeling very heavy. And the consistency is very I think that shade is not too bad. So I'm going to go back with the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. For my eyes, I'm not going to apply a lot, just on the areas where I need coverage. The next product is this YSL Touche Éclat Radiant Touch. I purchased this so many years ago. It was still in the box and I recently discovered it and I have to use it because I see like it's still brand new. And this used to be one of the most raved product of beauty bloggers. I purchased this because of Estee Lalonde when I was into blogging way back in 2016, and I would stalk, you know, bloggers all over the world, and this is one of her favorites. So I have the shade 3.5 and I'm strategically going to use just a teeny tiny bit of this to highlight. This is a good brightening concealer topper. I would not even consider this product as a concealer because it has the sheerest coverage that you could possibly need, and it doesn't cover any darkness at all, but it makes your under eye bright. I'm going to quickly set my under eye because I find that I crease quite quickly. So the most expensive powder that I have is this Anastasia Beverly Hills translucent powder, and I paid $70 New Zealand for this translucent powder, and I definitely have a powder that is somewhat similar to this for a fraction of the price. This was an impulse buy. At the same time it was a treat. For contour, I have the Fenty Beauty contour stick. This is the most expensive one that I own. I only have this one and the Rimmel London. I actually have used this multiple times. I love the finish that it gives. It makes me have a good sun-kissed tan without actually going to the beach, and it blends from cream to powder. And it's good for summertime because if you sweat, you still have a contour. Sheer that out a little bit with the foundation sponge. And for nose, I like to use my finger and then go over it with a sponge. We'll come back to the powder and lightly set the rest of my face. The foundation on my skin don't need a lot of setting because I find that it dries relatively matte on my skin. Before I move on to the rest of the face, I want to finish the eyes because I wanted to know how much blush I apply. I'm going to go and use Raw, which is the transition shade that we use. The glitter is falling off my face now because of the, like, it's pretty much stuck there. So I have like glitter specks lingering around my eyes. And Love Bite for the outer V to connect the outer part. And for inner corner highlight, I am going to go and use maybe this one right here because it has that pink undertone to it. The bronzer of choice is this MAC Mineralized Skin Finish Powder. It's actually a powder, but I like to use it as a bronzer because it gives the most natural finish onto the skin, and also since it's a powder, it adds a little bit of coverage. This is in the shade Dark Deepest. I've been meaning to try and fully finish this powder, but at the moment I don't have a lot of time. It looks far too orange on my skin tone, so what I have been doing is I've been just using this as a all over bronzer up to my cheek just to give some dimension, at the same time put a little bit of color back to my face. On top of that, if I wanted to add a little bit of glow, I have this Hourglass Ambient Lighting palette, and I like to use this shade right here as a bronzer topper. Another product that I have not touched, but this NARS blush is one of the blushes that I have in my collection that are currently pricey. I have 3 of these. I have Dolce Vita, Amore, and Medley. This is in the shade Amore. I purchased this a while back because I thought this is the best color for medium to tan skin tone. If you're fair skin, this would come up a little bit too pigmented, so just use maybe just a dab. Even for a medium skin tone like I do have now, this could look too pigmented. This has the most beautiful flush of pink on the cheeks, adds a little bit of life to my skin. For highlighter today, I'm going to go back to that palette that we have, and I'm going to mix these 2 shades right here. One's a little bit more paler, so I like to mix both because it gives me the most subtle glow. And you could go overboard with this powder and it won't look glittery. For lips, finally, we're almost done. I have this Marc Jacobs lip liner in the shade Nudist. Apparently this is a popular shade. I purchased this a while back, not even thinking, because I just wanted a Marc Jacobs product. I did love their Remarkable foundation. For lipstick, another YSL product. I'm telling you, I was obsessed with YSL, NARS, and MAC back in the day. And I have this Rouge Velope Shine lipstick. And this is the formula that I like from YSL because it's very moisturizing on the lips. And this is in the shade number 9. I don't know why I stopped wearing it. I think because of the thought that this is very high price and probably the most priced possession I have in terms of makeup, and I did not want to use it all up and put it to waste. But then you're supposed to use any products that you paid money for to get your money's worth. So this video in a way helps me revisit my makeup collection and let me pick out the products that I've been wanting to use but never had the time or reason to use it. And yeah, so this is a final makeup look. I don't have a setting spray, but I have this Glow Recipe Ultra Fine Mist, and this is probably the most expensive facial mist that I have. So yeah, here is my final makeup look. Wearing all these makeup at once, it definitely makes me feel very luxe, very glamorous, and very expensive because duh, I use expensive products. But from time to time, it's good to purchase a product that you will consider a treat, whether it's a reward for working hard, for overcoming obstacles, or for overcoming anything or achieving anything in life, which then reminds you of the things that you've done. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel for more updates, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye!